From San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the World Heritage San Antonio Missions, this is the Exit Planning Coach podcast with John F. Dini. Designed to help advisors who work with business owners, John talks with top professionals in the exit planning field about best practices, marketing tips, and how to be more effective when working with owners. Now, here's John F. Dini.
Welcome to the Exit Planning Coach podcast. My guest today is Dustin Cordier. He has a very interesting bio and specialty in exit planning. I'm going to read Dustin's entire bio, one because it's short, and two because I think every line in it is interesting. So he is a certified exit planning advisor, a CEPA. He's also an EOS implementer, and he's the founder of StepZero Coaching, where he helps aviation business owners build thriving, scalable companies. A former U.S. Air Force pilot, he transitioned into business aviation, excelling in leadership roles at Flight Safety, Cessna, and Embraer, before driving five-fold growth as president and managing partner of a private aircraft brokerage. After a transformative year hiking the Appalachian Trail, and we're going to talk about that too, that's really cool. He leveraged EOS to execute value acceleration, which is the name of the CEPA methodology, in another aircraft brokerage. Now he focuses on helping others grow and exit their businesses on their own terms with no regrets. Dustin lives in the Atlanta metro area with his wife of 20 years. He has 4 children and 4 dogs. Wow. I've had as many as 3, and I don't ever want to repeat that. What kind of dog? I'll ask about the dogs first. What kind of dogs do you have?
Well, we have a old lab, a 14-year-old lab, a Rottweiler that's 10 years old, and then we have a couple young ones. We have a blue tick coonhound that's 3, and a 1-year-old Llewellyn setter, my bird dog who loves tracking and hunting.
Huh. And no chihuahuas in this family, huh?
Not yet.
Yeah, they would be lunch. And how about your kids? How old are your kids?
Well, one is 25, 23, 20, and 13, about to be 14 soon. So, yep, we have, we're heading towards the empty nest, for sure, on the backside of the curve, as they say.
Oh, good. And before we get into the business part of it, why StepZero? Where did you get the name?
Well, it really has to do with your intention. So they say that journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you have to know where you're going. What is that step? What's the direction you're heading? And that really has to come from within. So it's really about the examination within before you take that step.
Wow, that's great. And it's also, as you know, exactly in line with our philosophy in helping business owners prepare. So, what led you to this? I mean, you had a corporate career, you had a successful private business career. How did you wind up working in the aviation industry? I mean, besides you have experience in the aviation industry, but it's not like auto repair. I mean, they're not on every street corner.
For sure. No, I mean, there's a couple of reasons I focused in aviation. The first one is it's full of passionate people. So in general, nobody graduated from Wharton or Stanford, et cetera, and said, boy, the multiples in business aviation are insane. I've got to get into that business. Most of the businesses in aviation were started by people who walked outside, looked up in the sky, saw it was blue, and said, that is cool. And I'm in that crowd. I even painted my home office ceiling blue, so I'm always under blue skies.
Cool.
So they're passionate, they're gritty people, but they're not necessarily sophisticated when it comes to running a business. Mm-hmm. And so they figure out, oh my gosh, I can turn my passion into a living, and they work like crazy to make it happen, but then what? And so it's very energizing for me to come in at that point and say, hey, by the way, you've done an amazing job so far. there's options for you in chapter 3 or act 3, whatever you want to call the next act. So that's the major reason why I started, why my business is focused in the aviation world. And since we're talking to advisors from a more practical sense, the more you can niche your business down, the easier it is to explain to people and attract your core target, your target customers, right? So you're Panera Bread before you become Panera. So if you can deliver world-class service in a specific niche, get very well known in that niche, you will get referrals that are outside of it. But all my marketing spend is within that aviation community. And when I get referrals outside of the aviation community, it doesn't mean I turn them down. They may
Sure.
be a fit for what I do. It's just I don't spend money on chasing those
Hmm.
because I can get really deep in the aviation community. I can get very involved in the aviation community and grow the business from there.
And now when you say the aviation community, there are people that fix planes and there are people that buy planes. And I know from your bio that there are people that buy, sell, and trade planes. Um, are there others? I mean, how wide is the aviation industry?
Well, there is an entire ecosystem that is there to support it, right? So if a plane is there to move people and things from A to B, all of these systems need to be around there to support that. So you have refueling, you have logistical support, you have pilot staffing services, you have scheduling and dispatching services. So it's a wide system there that supports that airplane moving from one place to another.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you deal, I assume you deal with FPOs too?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, I always wondered, I guess they just have ground leases, right? They don't own the dirt
Tip,
at the airport.
typically, so it is if an FBO will get a long-term lease, sometimes they're able to get 25, 50-year leases in a property. And for those who don't know, an FBO is a fixed base operator, basically your terminal for your private aviation flights. What you would do instead of going to a major airport like Atlanta Hartsfield, you'd go to a small airport, and this would be where you get on and off the plane. But especially if an FBO can control their own fuel, then there's a lot more margin in the business for them there,
Hmm.
uh, if that is part of what comes with the lease.
Ah, neat. Sorry, I do tend to dive into the weeds right away.
I'm here for it, so
Yeah,
I'm glad to be here.
great. How long have you been advising in the aviation industry?
Yeah, so I've been an aviation advisor for
Sure.
almost 2 decades, but
Oh,
on the
okay.
CEPA side is really only over just over a year. So
Oh, okay.
made the transition out from my own businesses into the advisory side.
And EOS the same, or is that longer or
Yeah, so
shorter?
EOS a little bit longer, and that's what really opened my eyes was, you mentioned in my bio, I had an initial company that I worked with. We grew, we were very smart. We weren't necessarily very healthy. And so we had great results, but the forest was calling, and I escaped for a year into that. And when I came back and started with another company, they were just starting their EOS journey. And it really opened my eyes to what small entrepreneurial businesses don't necessarily have to be small, can do when they're very focused on being both smart and healthy. And so I just saw a need within the aviation community for the EOS system. And very quickly after EOS, I discovered EPI's CEPA methodology, or the EPI methodology, the VAM methodology, and saw how that integrated perfectly with EOS. So EOS is all about helping entrepreneurs get what they want from their business, and CEPA really helps them define what they want. And so it is really focused at the owner level, where EOS focuses more at the leadership team level. And so it really dovetails nicely and is very complementary to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you're aware, but we run on EOS at ExitMap.
Yes. I
And
knew that you were so successful for a reason.
yeah, I am not an EOS implementer, but I have referred, oh gosh, probably 10 or 12 of my coaching clients to two local implementers who are both terrific.
I love to hear
Um,
that.
okay, you mentioned it. Let's go there for a minute before we take a break. The Appalachian Trail. Um,
Hmm.
First question is, how did you separate from the business to be able to go on the Appalachian Trail? And then the second one is an entire year walking.
Hmm.
I'd probably be in a lot better shape than I am now. But anyway,
Yeah. So, well, a couple of things. One, I have an amazing spouse who let me.
that's
So
true.
especially when you're walking away from four kids and four dogs. But so no, it was just time. I just felt as entrepreneurs know, ideas tend to run their courses. And I felt like I had taken that one as far as I could in the current um, structure that it was in, and I was ready for a change. And what better way to do a change than to jump in with both feet? So it was a burn the bridges moment for me to spend some time in the woods. Now I did not do the whole trail for a year. I hiked a month for over 300 miles, and then I spent the rest of the time with traveling with my children and really getting the coaching business started. But yeah, so time in the woods by yourself for that long really tends to bring some clarity to your mind about what is important and what you want to do, and really just being present to the day.
It's nice, but there's got to be people listening going, wait a minute, didn't we say that he was president and managing partner of a company before he did that? What happened to
Yeah.
the company?
Well, we had good systems, and they are thriving now. They're doing well, and I think that is it's actually something I'm very proud of. In that we had really three partners. All three of the partners are pretty far removed or exited from that business, and that business is still going strong. In fact, they're always top one, two, or three in the volume of turbine jet engine transactions per year. So when your systems are good, you are allowed options.
So
So
you
in
still hold
fact,
an equity in, I'm sorry, you still hold an
no,
equity interest?
I'm out 100%, but the
Okay,
majority owner, he's running other businesses now and still getting a nice distribution from that company. So
cool.
that's also something that makes me a big believer in the exit planning methodology, is the options it presents you. Doesn't mean you have to go retire on the golf course, right? Go start
Sure.
other businesses, go do other things.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard more than a handful of owners, former owners come to me and say, I never thought I could play too much golf. Yeah. That's not a retirement plan.
It's not who we are, right?
Yeah. Let me take a break here. We've spent a lot of time on your bio because it's so fascinating, but I want to come back and talk a little bit more about your practice. And I'm with Dustin Cordier of StepZero Coaching, and we'll be right back.
How would your practice survive if only 25% of your clients were happy with your work? How many referrals would you get? Would you advertise that success rate? Over the last decade, both the Exit Planning Institute and PwC have surveyed owners and found that 75% were profoundly unhappy a year after their exits. In 10 years, the exit planning industry has done little to fix this issue. Business owners need purpose, direction, and activity after exiting. Planning for that starts with your very first coaching conversation. We work with advisors who believe that clients should be happy after exiting. Exit Map is a structured discovery process that helps you have deeper conversations about client options, objectives, and life after the business. We help you launch better transitions. Take a test drive at exitmap.com.
All right, welcome back to the Exit Planning Coach podcast. I'm talking with Dustin Cordier of StepZero Coaching, and he is a specialist in the aviation industry. It's been fascinating talking to him. We're going to talk about his practice now coming up. But first, Dustin, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, and we're going to talk about your ideal client in a minute, but please give us of course, we'll have it when we release the podcast. We'll have it on there too. But if they're listening in the car, why don't you rattle off your contact information for them?
Absolutely. The easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn at Dustin Cordier or at StepZero Coaching. And my website is StepZeroCoaching.com, all one word, StepZeroCoaching.com. And we also have an aviation newsletter if you want to keep up with the trends in business aviation, called The Plain Truth, PLANE. Love to have you subscribe.
I would suspect it was spelled that way. So tell me, you've already talked about your marketing. You only market in the aviation industry. Um, Describe your ideal client. You've said a little bit about the type of personality that goes into the aviation field in any area. How do you qualify a client or vet a client when you first talk to them?
Well, I think that initial contact is really all about listening, right? And we're listening for pain, and we're listening for pleasure. Those are the two things that get people to act. And I think it's very important in that first contact with clients that we don't try and sell, right? We're just there listening with a curious ear and trying to present some intrigue to that. So what would happen if? When's the last time you took 30 days away from your business? Or questions like that that can expose some sort of pain or some sort of pleasure that's going on there. And so for my ideal client, certainly an entrepreneur in a growing business or maybe a flat business, but a person who is willing to be open, someone who's willing to be honest, and somebody who understands that what got them where they are today is not necessarily going to get them where they want to go. So they're more afraid of the status quo than they are of change, right? And somebody who's willing, when I say open and honest, and this is a big challenge, as our advisors know, willing to spend time working on the business, on their lives instead of in their lives, right? Because inside of their lives, it's incredibly hectic. They've learned how to be incredibly successful at it, but they become adrenaline junkies to to issues and drama because every day has its own fires that need to be put out. And we
Sure.
need to get clarity. We need to step away from that box, rise above it, and look at ourselves in terms of being a board of director or an investor in our business. And if somebody's willing to do that, or I can get some indication that they're willing to do that, then obviously that's somebody that we can serve very well.
Yeah, as Doug Tatum, the author of No Man's Land, said, unfortunately, many small business owners have built their companies to where they're making three times as much as they could working for somebody else. Unfortunately, they're doing three jobs to make that
Mm,
happen. Yeah.
very much, very much. I mean, it's very common to see these business owners set up a team around them, but that team is really all assistants to them. They're glorified admins in functions of the area just at the owner's demand. And your owner centricity quiz is very effective in helping them see that, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody to just do what I tell them to do. I want somebody to drive this process. I want someone to drive sales. I want someone to drive operations. I want someone to drive finance for me. And when they're able to do that, then they have a real business that is sustainable without the owner's 80 hours a week, and all kinds of options come into play at that point.
Yeah. As you know, one of my favorite anomalies in our initial assessment, and I see it so often, is when they answer I have a group of managers that make all the day-to-day decisions and I work 60 hours a week. Well, wait a minute. You know? How does
What are
that
you
happen?
doing? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, what is your best advice to someone entering exit planning? As you know, I mean, you're a recent CEPA. EPI is you know putting CEPAs out very rapidly.
Hmm.
I think they in the average month, there are three certifying organizations, and in the average month, they train more CEPAs than the other two organizations train in a
Hmm.
year combined. So, um, a lot of these people are coming in to EPI thinking that is exit planning, and there are differences
Hmm.
between the organizations. But what would be your advice to them when they come out and say, "Okay, I now are an exit planner. What do I do next?"
Hmm. Yeah, a couple of things, one from some positive experiences and one from some failures. I would say, niche it down. Business development is tough when you're chasing the entire world, right? It's there. Everybody is living in a very distracted life. And so you're just noise to them if you haven't hit them in a spot at an angle that they haven't thought of before or something that really resonates with them. So I've niched it down into the aviation community. Get help. Use your peers, use your other people out there. There are exit planning communities within major cities that are great. John, your team has been fantastic. So
Well,
if you're
thank you.
not using Exit Map Express, and John did not ask me to plug this, but use it. Not only is the process great for the structured discovery, but I have not encountered a single person on your team that hasn't been willing to help me immediately and help me completely, right? So it's certainly not a checkbox exercise when you ask for help from your team. Um, I mentioned a mistake, and this is not something I did in the exit planning community, but right when I got out of the Air Force, I took a job as a retail banker, and figured if I could sell money, I could sell anything. And this has to do with business development. I thought, well, where are bankers supposed to go find new clients? Where are bankers supposed to network? And so I joined Rotary and Chamber of Commerce in these areas where I went and I shook hands and I smiled with people and never really led to much, right? But it certainly ate up my time. In the meantime, there was a colleague of mine in the community that also had come out of the military, and he didn't go to any of those things, but what he loved doing was playing hockey. And he joined a men's hockey league, and he outpaced me with new business, probably 2 to 1,
Hmm.
all referrals from that league. So the advice is you're starting your practice, and business development is farming. It's about consistency. Don't do it where you think you are supposed to do it. Go spend time in clubs, in activities that excite you and bring your energy out. That's where the referrals will come because you're in your natural happy state, right? This is your high energy state. People see you as really being a part of the community, not somebody who's just trolling around the community with not much to add. So really find an activity that excites you, whether it's road biking, mountain biking, lifting, chess, whatever it is. There's all kinds of great clubs. Do what you love, and business will come from that.
Wow, terrific advice. That's really good, and I have not heard it before. But go where your energy is high, and people will see you at your best. I
Yeah,
appreciate
for
that.
sure.
Excellent advice. It's been a ball talking to you. Love to have you back again down the road. And Dustin Cordier of StepZero Consulting. Dustin, thank you for being with us today. I really appreciate it. And have a terrific week.
Thanks, John. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Take care.